Yes, hello and welcome to the Full 10 Yards Betting Podcast. We have made it through the summer and we are here for week one of the regular season. It's been a long, long off season, but before we know it, the Super Bowl will be here and we'll be moaning that it's over again. So we will get through it each week. I am not Tim Lambert Monk this week. I am Adam Walford. Tim's done us proud over the summer. We've been doing preview pods all summer long. You can see them on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/full 10 yards. And you can subscribe there and you'll get notified whenever we go live, which we should be right now. I am Adam Walford. I am at Touchdown Tips on Twitter or X, and I'm joined by Liam Horsley. We should be mixing up with hosting duties through the season and keeping these going on, hopefully, on Thursday nights each week. We'll try and keep them succinct, but we do tend to talk a little bit. So try and keep them to 20-odd minutes, but we'll see how we do. As I say, they'll be live on YouTube, hopefully live on X on multiple accounts, and we will see how we go. Plan for these are the same as always. It's go through the best spread that we like each week. We'll have a little blitz through other spreads if there is any others that we like, best totals and best touchdown scorers, and a quick look at those. Before we get started, I will mention that the full 10 yards crew is meeting up in Birmingham this week. Probably going to be Felson's now, but we will know. We will know soon on a Sunday, and I'm sure it'll be put out on the full 10 yards Twitter at full 10 yards. I personally, I need to mention my competition. I'm running season-long DFS, which is a season-long DraftKings competition. NFL-dfs.com for a little bit more info on there. It's 25 quid entry. That goes to prize pool at the end of the year. And that's about it from all the announcements. We will get on to the. Well, I should introduce Liam first, really, instead of talking. Liam, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. I'm all right. We've got some big shoes to fill with Timothy not being here, unfortunately. But he might not want me to even say this, so I'm just going to say it. He's off playing darts. He's chosen the world of darts over us. So I messaged him earlier and said he better win any darts game that he plays on a Thursday night. Now he can't host the pod. But yeah, I'm feeling good. Two exciting games to talk about before we get to Sunday, and then obviously a busy, very busy Sunday slate with every team playing in week one. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's hope we can win some money. I actually don't want to brag because I'm going to tempt fate here, but last year I did well with my best bets. So I don't know what that means for this year. I'm hoping I can carry on that trend, but we'll see how we go with tonight's picks.
Yeah, I would like to say I was around 50-50. I think that's being generous to myself, to be honest. So, yeah, fingers crossed. You'll keep where you are, and me and Tim will improve. We do have Tim's bets throughout the season, hopefully. But he is captain of his darts team. He's not just throwing arrows. He is the captain of his darts team. So, yeah,
Andy Reid. He's
well
the Andy
done.
Reid of the darts team. He's going to organise and lead the team to victory. That's the plan.
Exactly. That's his plan. So, yeah, we will see how he goes. I'm sure everyone wants to keep updated with that through the year. So yeah, obviously we're back at game one of the season. We've got Thursday and Friday night football, which is a lovely treat with Packers versus Eagles in Brazil tomorrow. But as always, we get started with the Super Bowl champions, and unfortunately, as usual, it is the Chiefs. I will not be previewing this one first. I'll be obviously letting Liam do this one. We've got the Ravens at the Chiefs. Line is -3 to the Chiefs, and the total is 47. Liam, take it away.
Yeah, I find it interesting as well because on Sky it's starting to move towards 2.5. It was 2.5. It's 2.5 now. It was 3 earlier, 2.5, 3, 2.5. So it feels like this game's getting some money on it, which is exciting. But yeah, should be a fun game. I think obviously two very good quarterbacks. Rematch of the AFC title game that probably I think was quite underwhelming, especially for the neutrals last year. I think it was bigged up as a really exciting game. Lamar, Mahomes, etc. Two great defenses. But it was really kind of dull after the first 3 drives if you're a neutral, I think. So I know there were some big moments, the fumble punch out from Snead, the Lamar pick, Travis Kelce's catch. But apart from like 5 or 6 things, the rest of the game was quite unmemorable. So I'm hoping tonight's game is a bit more exciting for the neutrals. New defense for Baltimore with Donald going to Seattle. The Chiefs trying to revamp their passing offense. You've got big Derrick Henry, which I'm personally quite scared about, stood next to Lamar in the backfield. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I think it's two teams that are probably more offense focused than defense focused early in the season, just because of all the changes. But I think it should be yeah, should be a good one. And we get Collinsworth and Tarico as well on a Thursday night, which is quite a nice treat. But yeah, should be good. Now, I can't remember what the total is. The total was
47-ish.
yeah, so that's also a couple of points higher than what it was in the AFC title game. So even the bookies are thinking, right, this should be a bit more of a shootout than it maybe was in the playoffs. So yeah, should be an exciting game. Obviously, I'm looking forward to it. But as a Bengals fan, it's two teams you probably hate. So there we go.
Two teams we need to keep an eye on, though. And yeah, I'm definitely very worried about Derrick Henry as well. Obviously, the Bengals give up a ton of rushing yards, and he's probably still the best pure rusher in the league. So it's definitely a bit worrying for Bengals fans. Yeah, it could be 2 defeats in a row for the Ravens against the same team, which I'm sure doesn't come around too often. But 17-10, I think it was in that championship game, and I think Kelsey had 10 catches by half time and blew the game out. It wasn't the most interesting game, and it was depressing to see how the lack of adaptation for the Ravens defense when it was just Travis Kelsey running 8 yards down the field, turning around and catching it every single time. But because of that, I mean, Kelsey could be a decent bet tonight. He's 57.5, I think he was, over 5.5, or maybe 6.5 receptions. So the lines weren't too high for it. Um, Personally, I think it's going to be a close game. I've gone with 2017, so I've gone with bang on the 3-point spread. I think the Ravens, I think they'll be fine on defense despite it being changed up. I do like their offense with Derrick Henry there. They don't have a huge amount of pass catching weapons still. They haven't added too much. Obviously, Zay Flowers is there, but still Mark Andrews. So they've got the two guys that they really need there. Alongside Derrick Henry is probably going to be Justice Hill tonight because Keaton Mitchell is out and they don't have a huge amount else. So I do like a little prop on Justice Hill over 8.5 receiving yards for him. I think there was 7.5, maybe 9.5, depending where you look. And yeah, for the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, longest reception. I prefer that to total yardage for him. I've been reading little bits that Justin Watson could be on more snaps than Worthy is, and we will see what happens with that one. Obviously, I'm sure Liam has more insight on that one. But yeah, I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a very entertaining start to the season, and we'll see how it goes. Liam, what was your best bet for this one?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be a close game as well, to be honest. And yeah, Worthy, 46.5 yards, only 20 less than Kelsey is. See, I'm not sure about those lines. I feel like that everyone's underestimating Kelsey and overestimating
Yeah,
everyone else in this game a little
yeah,
bit. So yeah, in terms of best bet, I hadn't looked at Kelsey's yards, so I'm tempted to swap live, but I've gone for Chiefs minus 2.5. I think it'll be a close game, like we said. But historically, Chiefs obviously were terrible last year in that first game. It was the Kadarius Tony drop game and the
mm,
Jawan Taylor penalty game. But normally they're very good to open the season in most other seasons. So yeah, I think they'll win. I think it'll be close, but I like Chiefs to cover the spread. That's my best bet. But I do think over 57.5 for Travis Kelsey is not a bad line, to be honest. I would prefer that to the receptions, ironically, just because he is
okay,
very good. He is very good at getting in space, and that one snap where Roquan Smith and Carl Hamilton are somewhere else on the field is the one snap he'll get a 5-yard catch and take it for 28, and that kind of helps you win your bet. But yeah, I think his line's a bit small, so yeah, I like that. And I think Tim's also gone for the spread. I know he's put -3 on his, but Sky's got -2.5, so I'm sure he'd rather go with
he
2.5.
definitely would.
Yeah, and then he's mentioned Rice, I think, is his for receptions. He's 5.5. He went over 5.5 in all last 9 games of the season before the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
So I think that is a good bet with Hollywood Brown being out and, like you said, Xavier Worthy having a first start in the NFL. So yeah, I think all those bets are. I know they're very pro Chiefs, but I like them.
It's Andy Reid off a bye, essentially. So it's
Yeah.
hard to avoid the Chiefs, and the Chiefs really should have won by 7-10 last year against the Lions, as you say. It was several drops by Kadarius Toney, who they've now jettisoned and is not no team any longer, which I don't think many people can argue with. Right, it's enough celebrating your Chiefs. Let's get on to the first game in Brazil. First South
Mm.
American game, I believe, or definitely regular season game in the NFL. It is the Packers versus the Eagles. It's a 49-point Total with the Packers 2-point favourites, which I'm not entirely sure about myself. I think there's obviously
No,
a lot of
Eagles
hype
are
over the
favourite.
Packers. Oh yeah, +2. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah.
Packers +2 versus the Eagles, which I think is still probably a little bit too close for me. I know the
Mm.
Packers finished their season on fire last year. Jordan Love was great down the stretch, and he's obviously signed a big deal over the summer. They have a decent set of players. They brought in Josh Jacobs for Aaron Jones, so they've mixed up the running back there. They have lost AJ Dillon, which I know full well that is not a huge deal, but I always have a thing for AJ Dillon, and he does. I'm going to say he does his job. Maybe he doesn't, but he does something for them. And without him, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. They've got Marshawn Lloyd, who is a rookie with I was hampered with hamstring injury. I think he's all right to go. Or Emmanuel Wilson, who again is a rookie. So they're kind of short-handed at running back, although Josh Jacobs is very good. The wide receiver 3, 4, however many, they're all young, but they all looked really good last year with Love. Romeo Dobbs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Dontavian Wicks, and even Bo Melton might mix in a little bit. They've got targets all around the wide receiver group. They've got tight end in Luke Musgrave, who's pretty good, and the other one, Tucker Craft, who again did well without Musgrave there. It was meant to be Musgrave, but he was injured half the year. So they've got a good team and a decent defense, but I just think the Eagles are still a class above. Frankly, I think they brought in Saquon Barkley. They've brought in Vic Fangio on the defensive coordinator, so that should help their defense a bit. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is there, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. They've still got a talented bunch on both sides of the ball, and for me, if I was picking on the spread, which wasn't the bet I put down for this one, I'd have to go for the Eagles winning this one and covering the handicap. And the total, hopefully, it'll go over 49.
Mm.
But I mean, it should do. They're both good offenses, so it should be a fun game to start tomorrow. Liam, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully, it should be a fun game. Those international games can be a bit crazy as well, which is normally more fun for us as viewers. But yeah, I previewed the game with Sam on the main pod for the full 10 yards, and the line was actually 3.5 when he took that on Monday.
Yeah.
So again, I think the bookies were on your line, thinking that the Eagles, a little bit better maybe than this market showing, but we've seen people kind of talk about Texans and Packers all off season. So I just feel like the Packers have probably had some money over the last 2 or 3 days. Everyone's getting excited towards the start of the season. I think, yeah, they probably had some money, but I'd probably stay away from the spread personally because of that. I'm a big fan of Jordan Love, so I kind of think the Packers might win. But at 3.5, I really liked it. But at 2.5, it just doesn't give me that. There's no point really for me.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they lose by, if it was 2 points. More. Sorry, if you're the Eagles and it was they also win by a field goal and you've lost your bet by half a point, then it's just it's a bit of
Yeah.
a killer start of the season. But yeah, it should be a fun game. Obviously, brand new offense, and defense for Philly. Green Bay have got a brand new defense. I think that could probably lead to some points. I'd be very surprised if there's not some turnovers and some big plays in this game. And I've been having a little bit of a look at the touchdown markets as well, and it feels like they've gone quite aggressive on the big names. So Saquon Barkley's already odds on to score a touchdown anytime, even in this game, when we don't know how he's going to play. Like in terms of goal line, is it going to be Hurts? Is it going to be Barkley? They've kind of priced AJ Brown at just about evens again already before the season, whereas last year he was like 6-4. So I feel like they've gone quite aggressive on the touchdown market. So for me, I think you want to be looking at some of those bigger odds if you can in this game, because I think we could see a bit of a shootout in Brazil.
Yeah, fingers crossed. What was your best bet for this one?
I've gone touchdown score. I went for value, and I looked at the sheet and I saw who Adam had picked, and it wasn't great value. And now I'm already regretting just not picking like Isaiah Pacheco for this bet for touchdown scorer. But yeah, my best touchdown scorer for the weekend and my best bet for this game was Luke Musgrave of the Packers to score a touchdown. I think he was 10-3. Again, I've only looked at 2 places, so please shop around. You might find better odds than that than I found. But yeah, he's a very good tight end, very athletic. Like Adam said, he missed a lot last season, which I think is the only reason why people probably don't know how good he is. I loved him coming out of college, so I just think this is the game where for me, the Packers offense is so random. There's so many receivers. You're not going to know who's going to be the best receiver for a few weeks. Whereas I think I'd rather take the value and go for the big tight end that's going to play a lot of red zone snaps. So I've gone for Musgrave there to score.
Yeah,
What about you?
18-5 according to Oddschecker is
Okay,
the best you can get on him. So
I'll take
a
that.
scooch better than 10-3, but yeah, no enough of
Mm.
the same.
What about you? What's your best bet for this one?
I like Romeo Dobbs over 37.5 receiving yards. It's the same line as Christian Watson. It's 4 yards under Jaden Reed. Again, I know that they've got quite a few targets there, but I'm sure I read something recently about Dobbs being probably the best target in camp. So I think it's quite a low line for wide receiver 1 or 2. I think he'll be a top 2.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I don't mind Dobbs on that one. It's obviously not the easiest with the amount of competition there, but I think that's the one I'll go for. And Tim went for Barkley rush yards or Josh Jacobs rushing and receiving yards. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark and assume both those lines are quite high. So the ones I would probably not go for myself, but obviously they neither team has massive amounts of alternate choices. Obviously, the Eagles have got Gainwell; they're still there, and let's just say the Josh Jacobs and the Packers, they've only really got rookies behind them. So I do think he's probably going to get 20, 25 touches.
Yeah,
But it depends on Drake.
Barkley's 64.5 rush yards, by the way, for
That's not
Barkley.
not that bad actually.
Yeah, and Josh Jacobs' rush receive is 84.5. So I don't know which one. I probably fancy the I probably fancy the Barkley one more actually than I do the
Yeah,
Jacobs one after seeing those lines.
yeah, I agree on that. I'd prefer the just solid Barkley rush yards. As
Mhm.
as we've said before, it's running quarterback does tend to help a good running back because there's lots of misdirection and it gives them a little bit of an easier one. So yeah, having a rushing quarterback with Barkley there could be huge for them.
Yeah.
Right, that's Thursday and Friday wrapped up. On to the weekend, and I will let you go first on this one with your best bet for the weekend. I'm scrolling through the spreads at the bottom of the screen now for anyone watching this. And as I say, we'll go through best bets and we'll have a quick skim through other ones that we like.
Yeah, my best bet, I was choosing between a couple, and this one I've gone with is no surprise if anyone's listened to the pods or the main pod this year with my love for this team. I've gone for the Rams plus 3.5 against Detroit. Again, obviously a rematch of the last time these two teams played. So we've got Ravens Chiefs, and then the last time the Rams played was also against the Lions in the playoffs. Um, I just think it should be 2.5 or 3, and I like the fact I've got the extra half a point. Mentioned it in the other podcast this week. I think Stafford's going to have a big year. I know the Lions have spent some money and some draft picks on defense, especially in the secondary, but defense is quite volatile. It wouldn't surprise me if it takes a while for that secondary to be as good as they can be. And I think the team you don't want to face in week one is probably Nakua, who practiced today, Cup. I don't know if Higby's going to play or not. Obviously, two good running backs, and then Matt Stafford and Sean McVay kind of cooking up the place. So I kind of like the Rams to win the game outright, to be honest, as a bit of a
Mm.
surprise, just at the odds. But I think when you get plus 3.5, yeah, I think it's a really good bet. I appreciate the Lions are going to win 10, 11, 12, 13 games, but I just think this offense might not be the one the Lions defense wants to see on in week one.
Yeah, you won't be surprised to know that I agree with you on this one, obviously. As you said, if you've been listening to any of the preview pods, you know that this whole podcast is a fan of the Rams this year. Again, I'm a fan of the Lions, but the Rams, as you said, they have everything that you need, really. It'll be interesting to see how they do on defense without Aaron Donald there. Obviously, he used to take up 2 or 3 people, and it'll be interesting to see if they can get any pressure now. And frankly, they probably wouldn't have got that much pressure against the Lions' offensive line anyway. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it could be a shootout. It was one I was tempted with for my total bet for the week, but I gave that a miss because I think it's at 51. It is a high line, but I agree with you. And getting the hook on the 3 is kind of vital, and it does seem, frankly, very generous for week 1 of the season. And yeah, I definitely can't argue with that one. I have gone for good start to the season here. I've gone against my team because that's what we do. I've gone with Patriots +8. The Bengals starting the season has been terrible in recent years. They start so slowly now. Admittedly, that's because Joe Burrow's normally coming in injured or has missed time over the summer. He hasn't done that this year, but they have missed Jamar Chase, who's holding out because of the contract thing. It looks like Chase is probably going to play. I think he will. So I think the Bengals will be at relative full strength, but they're playing a Patriots team who are. This isn't going to help my argument. The Patriots team is terrible. It could be the worst team in the league. But Jacoby Brissett's playing. It's I genuinely I don't really have an argument for the Patriots. It's more how sluggishly the Bengals start, and yeah, I just think +8 over a touchdown. Give me that in week 1 of the season, and I'll go with that. Frankly, I was struggling on the spreads this week. It's tough because they've been bet all summer, so they're all quite tight. They're all about where you would expect games to be. So generally, week 1 of the season is probably the toughest for spreads. So yeah, I went with the biggest spread on the board, and I went against my team because either way I win then.
Emotional, emotional hedge. We call that an emotional hedge.
That's very much so. I will try my best not to do that every week of the season, but I can't guarantee. I can't guarantee it. Tim has.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, is Jamar Chase going to play? Do you think in this game? I know last year they got the Burrow contract done, didn't they, on the Thursday evening, right before the Thursday night game? Do you think they'll do the same with Chase, and we'll hear some news today or not?
I don't think Chase is going to get the contract this year, but I think he'll play because he'll start losing money, and I think he's trying to he's doing the same as all of them. He's exercising his leverage, but at the end of the day, they don't want to let their team down. I don't think any player does. So I think he's doing what he can, but he does still have an extra year on the likes of Lamb and Jefferson who got their contracts this summer. But it's stupid. The Bengals are stupid. Like, he's told them he wants $1 more than Justin Jefferson. Just pay it because it's going to cost him more next year. So just pay it, get it sorted, and suck it up. But Bengals don't tend to do that.
Yeah, if he doesn't play, then this only helps your bet of +8. So kind of
Yeah, true.
So
True.
the line will probably move to 10 or 11. Well, maybe not 11, but 9.5, 10 if he doesn't play. And if he plays, it might move to 7. So you're kind of in a good position probably with your bet here. But we'll see. If he wants to miss week 1 and 2, then go ahead. Miss week 1 and 2. That's fine by me.
He might be realizing that coming in fresh for the Chiefs game next week is probably a decent bet. And to be fair, the Bengals should be fine with that. So we'll see. Like, the Bengals should be fine with T. Higgins. It'll be probably Yosavash as the second then, and maybe Jermaine Burton will get a start. I've been hearing that he might not even suit up for the game because of his attitude in camp, which is why he dropped in the draft. But yeah. So yeah, Tim's best bet for the week was one I'll admit I looked at as well as Texans -2.5 at the Colts. The Colts have lost in opening week for 10 years in a row. And they're playing probably the best team they've played in those 10 years in the Texans, who've strengthened all summer. So I definitely can't argue with him on this one. And yeah, we don't really ask for Tim's opinion on it. We just ask for a line on it. But I'd imagine it is Texans good, Colts not as good. Job done.
Probably. He likes CJ Stroud, doesn't he? So probably more the quarterbacks probably help as well when it comes to that spread. But yeah, it was one that I looked at as well as someone who's not a Colts believer, but just decided against it in the end, just in case that game. AFC South's a bit weird. So
yeah, they all beat each other. Is a strange one, but obviously the Texans have strengthened all summer. They're doing what they should with a rookie quarterback. They're going all in, and they've bought in players. Their defense is good. The offense is good. So yeah, they should be up there challenging this year. Any other spreads that you fancy for this week?
Yeah, I probably always seem to like the Cowboys more than Tim, and I think +2.5 is fine. It was 3 last week. I would have loved 3, but I think they'll beat the Browns. Deshaun Watson's terrible. Dak Prescott good. It's kind of the main thinking there. I know Tim's not as high on the defense. But I think Zimmer's a better coach than Dan Quinn. I don't think the defense was very good last year. If you watch that playoff game, they were all over the place against the Packers. They got great players, but I don't think the coach was great last year. Whereas I think Zimmer, his teams in Minnesota, regardless of how bad they were on offense, they were always quite good on defense. So
Bengals as well when he was there.
Yeah, exactly. Coach. Yeah. So yeah, I think they'll win the game. So I don't mind 2.5. But the other one I was looking at is a bit of a Liam hater of the quarterback line, and that is, of course, against the Dolphins. I quite like the Jags +3.5. I hate Tua. That's a strong word. I dislike Tua, and I really like Trevor Lawrence, and I think the Jags could also win that game outright. But I'm also getting the hook. So they were two that I looked at, but apart from that, there wasn't many. I know Sam from the main pod quite liked Titans plus 3.5, but I'm just a bit all over the place with Levis. I feel like he could throw 3 bombs and they'll win the game, or he could throw 3 picks and lose it. So I'm going to leave that one. So for me, I think it was just Jags plus 3.5 and probably Cowboys plus 2.5 that I like, apart from the ones we picked.
Yeah, it's Dolphins beating up on bad teams though. I don't think the Jags are a good team, so I can't join you on that one. To be honest, the Titans I've gone back and forward on. I don't trust rookie quarterbacks in the first game, so going against the Bears is one that I did consider.
Keenan
The one
Allen's
I
hurt
did,
as well.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they've had a bit of change over the summer and possibly key positions on the offense. So although it's the Titans and with a new head coach, and again, it's a coach from the Bengals, so of course I want him to do quite well. But
Mm.
I, it was one I'm firmly avoiding, but I'll be interested to see how that plays out because it's unknown to both teams in that game, so it will be interesting. Cardinals plus 6.5 at the Bills was one I did consider, but it's a dome team going outside to the Bills, and obviously weather is probably not that bad in Buffalo this time of year, but Buffalo have had a big change as well. Their defense isn't very good. Their offense has lost key players. I think it's kind of a bit of change over there, but I don't trust the Cardinals enough, which is why I didn't go with it. That's my main bets, and that was and also the Giants. I thought the Giants have been a little harshly treated. They're one of the few home underdogs this weekend. They have a starting quarterback starting for them, and the Vikings have got Sam Darnold, who surely he's worse than Daniel Jones. I know people don't like Daniel Jones, but come on, it's I think that's a little bit insulting to the Giants, who showed that they can grind out results with Daboll at the helm. So, if you want a home underdog, you've only got one or two to choose from, and I thought the Giants was a little bit harsh on them, so I went with them. I think we're all good on handicaps now.
Yeah.
We'll move on to totals for the week. And Liam, what was your one on the totals?
Yeah, my total is the same as Tim's actually. So we've both gone for the Jags game that I just mentioned, over 49.5 points. I do think they're going to be a good team, the Jags. But even if they're not, I think they'll still score points. And there's been a lot of change again from Miami on the defensive side. They've got a new coordinator. I know Jalen Phillips might play in this game, coming back from the Achilles, but they're definitely going to miss Bradley Chubb. Achilles for Jalen Phillips as well. So we'll see how good he is. And then the rest of the defense is kind of chopped and changed. So I don't think they're going to be able to be up and running in week one. The Jags, you never quite know what's going to happen with their defense. They're very boom bust, and obviously the Dolphins' offense is incredible with Waddle and Hill, and obviously those running backs. So I think I've assumed Tim's line of thinking is the same. It's just both these teams might score a lot of points, and I'm not quite sure the Dolphins' defense is ready yet in week one. So I think it should be slightly higher line than it is, to be honest. So I'm thinking we could get in the late 50s in this game.
Yeah, I can't argue. Obviously, we saw the Dolphins rack up tons and tons of points against not elite teams last year, and I don't think the Jags are elite. So it could be, as you say, it could be easily 25 each, and that takes you over the 49. And as you say, Tim went with that one as well. I went with Vikings and Giants under 41. Again, I was struggling on some of my best bets this week, and I just think that the lack of the lack of talent at quarterback for both teams. As I say, I'm not as big a Daniel Jones hater as most people, but I do appreciate he's not exactly the best quarterback in the league. And then you got the Vikings with Sam Darnold, who is a career backup, so you're kind of struggling either way. Um, so yeah, I just thought under 41 points. I thought I'd start with an under because generally with the summer, everything's been backed upwards because fans like points. So yeah, I just thought I'd go with an under. Another one I did look at, I kind of alluded to it in the other one, in the other round, was Lions and Rams over. I think that could be a very high scoring game. And Packers Eagles over 49. I thought that was a fairly decent line for them. Bengals Patriots, I had no real opinion on. Again, it could be 20-0 to the Bengals. It could be anything really in that one. So I'll give them a miss. Did you have any others on these?
Yeah, I've kind of gone with the square play of overs, unfortunately, on week one. Um, this could be some Herbert love going back to quarterbacks. But that line is 39.5 for Chargers Raiders.
It's
And I
low. It's
and I
very low.
know Minshew's the quarterback, but he can score 20. He can score 20. Well, he can kind of score 20, 23 points of Devontae Adams catching every pass, and if they have a good running game there, obviously with Zamir White,
Samir
sorry.
White.
So yeah, I think that's just too low for me in week one. I don't think we know enough about the team to say like a 30 win total. Sorry, 30 points total is what you get when there's like sleet and snow and when the weather's terrible. It's not a game in Vegas in a dome. So
No.
yeah, I'm gonna go for over in that one probably as well. And then the only other one, again, another over, Bucks Commanders. Quite like Jaden Daniels. Not quite sure either of these defenses are going to be any good. And Baker Mayfield is obviously a league average quarterback, but we saw last year he can chuck it 100 yards, like 100 yards games to Mike Evans quite regularly. That's a way that works for that offense. And I think the Commanders with Terry McLaurin and a quarterback that can use his legs again. I just think both those teams can end up being quite terrible, and sometimes those terrible teams just score points all over the place if the defenses aren't very good. So yeah, two overs for me that I like, but I did find totals much harder than spreads this week. I just think, like you said, they've been bet all summer long, and I think the value's gone in a lot of them, and you just don't know how prepared some of these teams are with preseason being so much shorter now than it has been before. But yeah, a couple of overs there that I like at least. So
Yeah, I looked at the Raiders one. I just worry. Obviously, we're expecting the Chargers to be run heavy now with Harbaugh there, so maybe it'll slow the game down a little bit. But when you've got a QB as naturally talented as Justin Herbert, then you're always going to score points, and frankly, their defense will give up points against anyone. Even, I mean, they gave up 63 points to the Raiders last year, so admittedly different different regime. But they did give up a lot to their rivals. So that is it for totals. We will go on to obviously my favourite bit of the thing is touchdown scorers. We've heard your best bet with Luke Musgrave, who's your favourite of the week at 10-3, 18-5, depending where you look. We've gone with three M's this week. I've gone with Raheem Mostert. He's 11-10 for the Dolphins. Again, I think the Dolphins are going to put up quite a few points, and as much as it could be a change in regard towards Devon Achen, why would they go away from Mostert, who scored 20 plus touchdowns last year at the goal line? I think he'll still get the goal line stuff, and give me plus money on him against who I think is a pretty poor team. Um, Liam, I'll let you describe why Tim's gone for Zach Moss.
it's a good question. What are the odds as well? They 13 to 8.
13-8 for Zach Moss, yeah.
Yeah, and I was laughing because I looked at our old stats from last season, and I think one of us backed him to score a touchdown, nearly double these odds, and now we're here a year later and we're going again. I
He's on a
assume
good team now, that's why.
yeah, I assume it's because good team, probably going to be winning, going to run the ball a lot, and then obviously the Patriots defense are missing Christian Barmore, unfortunately for him with the blood clot issue, so they're not going to be able to stop the run. So yeah, I assume that's why he's gone for Moss. He's definitely going to be the goal line back for me. You'll know more about the Bengals than me, but Evans is very slight. So I'd imagine it's going to be Zach Moss at the goal line going for those mix and carries. But yeah, the odds are a little bit short for me for Moss, but I do think you guys are going to have a lot of red zone possessions potentially, which is half the battle when it comes to picking touchdown scorers.
Yeah, that's very fair. Yeah, I think it's going to be 70-30 Moss to Chase Brown, but it will be. I'm not entirely sure. That as frankly, there's not been much out about it. It's been kept quite quiet. I know they like Chase Brown, but he's definitely more explosive. I think Moss is adept in the passing game and the running game, so I don't mind it. And obviously, it's a +8. It's a Bengals -8 handicap, so you're going to expect them to be running them in and not running up score too much. So I think in theory, it should be running backs getting the ball for them. It could be worth a look on Chase Brown if you want to see the odds on him. I would hope it's 7-2 or so, but I doubt it will be. I think it'll be lower than that. So yeah, I don't mind Zach Moss, but again, it's a wait and see for me. We know his line for the season was 6.5, so if he gets one in week one, obviously that's a good start for him. I did have, of course, we again we talked all summer about random tight ends scoring touchdowns, and I'll get mine in before Liam mentions one in a minute. I've got Juwan Johnson for the Saints, 19-5, and of course Michael Pruitt for the Falcons. Talk of Kyle Pitts and a hamstring injury this week, so maybe Pruitt will get a little bit more. He's 14-1 to score at most bookies this weekend. Against the Steelers. Obviously, Steelers have got a pretty good defense, but screw it, tight ends. We love random tight ends at big prices.
We love tight ends too much. We love tight ends. Yeah, I was looking again. Haven't had a chance to look around as much at different sites, but only a couple of places have got touchdown odds that I've seen for a couple of the games because we're a little bit early, obviously, with recording on a Thursday. But I didn't even plan this deliberately. But two tight ends that I liked in the same game
They're the
was
value.
it was Trey McBride from the Cardinals against the Bills. You know, Bills linebackers not looking good this year with Milano starting the season injured. I'm quite high on the Bills, but I know you and Tim weren't as high on their defense. So I think Trey McBride, again, they haven't got loads of weapons, wide receiver. I know they've got Marvin Harrison Jr., but McBride was great last year, and he's 7-4. And again, that's not going to be the best price. Should be able to shop around and get better. And then Dawson Knox as well, 5-1 is the best price I've found. I love Kincaid, but they go two tight ends a lot. They run the ball a lot in the end zone, and when Josh Allen kind of fakes the run and ends up throwing it, Dawson Knox doesn't get a lot of receptions. When he does, they're often in the red zone or on third down. So I quite like Dawson Knox as well, to be honest. And then the other tight end that you were referring to that I talked about was probably just to annoy Tim if he listens to this podcast. But Peyton Hendershot, I think best price I've seen on him is 12-1. But again, shop around, you might find better. I don't know if I even really want that bet, but I'm just saying it to annoy Tim if he listens. But Jared Wiley as well.
Now at the Chiefs.
Yeah, Jared Wiley as well for the Chiefs. He's 20-1. So again, I'll be waiting to see the inactives because one tight end won't be active tonight. But once I see the inactives, I'll jump on whichever one of those two is active because the Chiefs love to throw to tight ends in the red zone, and Travis Kelce's always triple coverage, so it'll probably be to one of the other guys. But yeah. That is going to be the worry of Tim stepping away potentially on Thursday nights is how many tight ends me and Adam put up this season. But it's going to be a bit that we keep going, I'm sure.
We need to do tight end Trixie. We'll talk about that afterwards. Tight end Trixie is the way forward. Is anyone above 5-1. Talking of 5-1, Samaje Perine tonight is around 5-1 to score. Obviously, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is missing the first 4 games of the season for pretty horrible reasons. PTSD because he got robbed as a kid. So yeah, Perine 5-1. I also picked out Cam Akers should be running back 2. I think he'll be the pass catching back for the Texans. He's 8-1 on Coral Ladbrokes. They have the same prices all the time. They're essentially the same. I thought that was decent odds. He's around 5-1 everywhere else. And then if you've got a Star Sports account, this was available early. I don't know if it still is. Devin Singletary, 11-2 on there. He is far shorter everywhere else. So if you can get on that for the Giants, I don't think he's going to be great by any means. But again, he's facing a team that I don't think is going to be good either. And I believe he's probably going to have a large amount of the workload in the backfield. So yeah, I thought that was massive odds for him. I do also have one small prop mention is Ramondre Stevenson over 13.5 receiving yards for the Patriots against the Bengals. Obviously, they should be trailing. And again, they don't have a huge amount alongside him in the running game for him. Anything else from you, Liam?
No, that's it. Like I said, I haven't looked at many other props. So yeah, just the ones we mentioned. Apart from another shout out for the Travis Kelce one tonight, I do think that's I think that's the lowest you'll see it this season.
Yeah, Kelce yards is it'll fly up after this one, I'd imagine. So just a quick recap on the best bets for the week for us. We've got spreads. We've got Patriots +8, Houston -2.5, Rams +3.5. We got the totals. Liam and Tim both went for the Jags and Miami over 49.5. I went with Minnesota versus the Giants, minus under 41. And we've gone with the 3 M's in the touchdown scorers. Mostert was 11-10, Moss at 13-8, and Luke Musgrave at 10-3. Tiny little bit over 20 minutes that we were expecting, but week one of the season, we'll get it polished up and we'll figure it out for the rest of the year. So with that, thank you very much, Liam, and we will see you soon.